Hello, my friends, and welcome into your practice. My name is Jyothi, and today we're going to be talking about practicing with conflict, multitudes, conflicting emotions, showing up with the fullness of our humanity. There's a quote from Song of Myself by Walt Whitman that says, do I contradict myself? Yes, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Let's begin by standing on our mats and taking a broader based mountain pose than we typically do. Feeling the feet settle onto the surface of your mat and letting the arms lengthen alongside you. And either just finding something that's really pleasurable to look at, to rest the eyes on, or softly closing the eyes. And then bring your hands onto your body. Anywhere that just reminds you that you do in fact have a body and your body is here in this moment, breathing in this practice. And recognizing that your body itself may be showing up to practice today holding multitudes. There may be parts of the body that are dealing with injury or illness or fatigue or tenderness. There may be other parts that feel wonderful and energetic and so excited for the practice ahead. And then there may be parts of your body that are totally neutral, that are just along for the ride. And so just giving yourself one more breath here with the multitudes that your body may be holding. And then bring your hands up to where you identify the heart on your body. Recognizing that the heart may be showing up with multitudes today too. Maybe it's grief or deep-seated sadness, anger, delight, hope. And just recognizing that the heart also holds multitudes. And then bring your hands up to your head. Noticing that the head may be holding multitudes. Maybe feels like a bowl of spaghetti with some of those multitudes intermingling and confusing. Maybe it's difficult to actually focus, and just know that the head is holding multitudes. But that we are large, and this practice can help us to show up in our full humanity. And then release the arms alongside you, and we'll start to move into our flow as we open the eyes. And we inhale, sweeping the arms out and up, looking up. And exhale, folding over the legs in this broad-based Uttanasana. We'll bring the fingertips to the shins as we lift up halfway, pausing here for 3 breaths. Take the arms alongside you, feeling the biceps by the sides of the rib cage. Imagine you're holding a beach ball behind you, and gently give that beach ball a squeeze. Feel your navel like the letter J, gently swooping up and in. Give yourself one more full inhale here. Exhale, fold in broad-based Uttanasana. And then circle sweep the arms out and all the way up, taking up your space in that big, broad mountain, and bring the hands into heart center. We'll take 2 more half salutations. Circle sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, folding over the legs. We'll lift up to that halfway lift, and this time taking the arms wide like airplane wings or the wingspan of a bird, a big bird like an albatross. And then welcoming that idea of containing multitudes from your elbows to the center of your spine, hug in. And then from the center of your elbow to your fingertips, reach out. Holding a multitude of actions within the body simultaneously. Give yourself one more inhale. And then exhale, let it go and fold. Circle sweeping out and all the way up. Broad base mountain. Hands into heart center. One more of these half salutations. Circle sweep the arms out and up. feeling that spaciousness of your container as you fold over. Now you could repeat options 1 or 2 that we've done, or lifting up halfway tabletop spine, knowing this can introduce a load on the low back. Sweep the arms forward, biceps by the ears. Feeling how this is a little bit more of an intense energy. Maybe you need to soften the knees to protect the low back. Breathing 2. Feeling that J in the spine, breathing 1. And then letting that go. Uttanasana, rising up, out and up. And palms together. I'm going to come to the front of my mat space. If you need to travel there as well, please do so. Moving into sun salutations, but keeping this idea of a broader base, giving ourselves permission to contain multitudes by physically embodying a broader foundation today in the practice. Inhale, lengthen the arms alongside you, moving into the 12-step sun salutations. Position 1, palms come together. Here we go, flowing with the breath, reaching forward, up and back. Folding over the legs, 3. I'll start by stepping my left foot back, and it's out to the left side of my mat. So again, keeping it broad, coming into lizard pose, left knee down, untuck the left toes. You could stay here with the palms right underneath the shoulders, or if you wanted to get a little bit lower, stickier in your lizard, walk the hands forward, pop up onto fingertips. And notice that as you get broader, you have to stay really connected to your core. So that as you contain multitudes, you take up your space, staying really connected to your core values, that central point of orientation. One more inhale. And then walk the hands back in. If you had walked them forward, step back to down dog with the feet almost the width of the mat. So nice, big, broad down dog. I notice my heels get actually a little bit heavier here. I can go a little bit deeper. And then shifting forward to plank pose, this nice, big, broad plank. Chaturanga, halfway lowering, elbows skim the sides of the ribs. And then rolling to upward facing dog, I find my low back loves the extra space here with my legs in the V. And then downward facing dog. We'll keep this flowing. As I look forward, I'm going to move my left thumb to my right thumb and step my left foot forward. I've got, again, that broad base, right knee down, untuck the right toes, knowing you have the option to keep the hands under the shoulders or get lower, broader, a little bit stickier in that lizard for 3. And knowing that as we kind of spread the body out to a bigger surface area, that requires more of an intention at the center, the core, the midline of the body. The same way that holding multitudes often requires us to get really clear about our central values. Walk the hands up and in. Step the right foot outside the right hand. Inhale, lift up halfway. We'll do an add-on here. 2 options for you today. You could bend the knees so that the hips are parallel to the knees, lift the hands and find this little like spider squat. Or if malasana is in your practice, drop the pelvis, pull the heart towards the thumbs. Give yourself a full breath here. Malasana, garland pose. And then use the strength and power of your legs, palms down, lift the seat, fold in Uttanasana. And we'll close this out. Circle sweeping arms out, up and back. And palms together. Take 2 more of these sun salutations. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, palms together, 1. Inhale, reaching forward, up, back, 2. Folding, 3. We'll lead with the right to the back of the mat. Keep the knee lifted and we'll keep it flowing. So just 1 inhale here. And then step it back to that broad-based down dog, heels melting back and down. Shift forward to the plank, lower through chaturanga. That's your 6. This upward facing dog with the legs in the V. My low back says thank you. Down dog is 8. And then I'm going to need to move my right thumb in just a little bit. Step my right foot forward, taking that lizard pose, big inhale. And then step the left foot forward outside my left hand. Inhale here. Either that little spider squat or lowering into malasana. Inhale fully. Exhale, folding. Uttanasana. Circle sweeping arms out, up and back. Not repressing or pushing anything away, but instead really honoring that as humans, we do contain multitudes. Inhale. We are complex. Palms together. 1. We hold contradictory things. 2 is the back bend. And 3. Stepping that left foot back, we're in the pyramid. And we're going to actually introduce a pyramid pose here, Parsvottanasana. So again, my feet are still quite wide. I'm going to start to straighten my right knee. My right arm and shoulder are still inside my right leg and fold. There is an option to turn the fingertips to face the left foot, walk the hands back, bow the body forward. This gets really deep into the hamstring. And breathe for 3. But knowing that our practice really does not ask us to show up when we're just only when we're happy or in a good mood or feeling good. That our practice is really to help us in those don't know moments, in the struggling moments, in the really dark moments. And let's walk the hands forward, step it back to that broad downward facing dog. So giving yourself permission to really hold whatever it is you're carrying right now. Shift forward. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Knowing contradictions are normal. Downward facing. Saying what I'm feeling doesn't make sense. I'm confused. Look forward. Left thumb to right thumb. Step the left foot forward. I'm briefly in that lizard, but I'm going to come straight up and back to that pyramid. So as I straighten my left leg, I'm going to make a choice here. Do I want to keep my hands forward? Really valid choice. Or do I feel like kind of taking a more humbled approach? It's almost like a humble pyramid. We have humble warrior, but this would be like humble pyramid. 3. Knowing that sometimes we practice with our confusion as much as we practice with our clarity. We practice with our anger as much as we practice with our joy. We practice for tenderness as much as we practice for strength. And then walk the hands forward, step that right foot outside the right hand, inhale, lift up halfway, and then you've either got that spider squat or dropping into malasana. Big inhale. Exhale, fold in. Taking up your space as you sweep the arms out, up and back. Palms together. And then give yourself a moment to just lengthen the arms alongside you. Close the eyes and take about 3 to 4 breaths just to kind of honor the work that you just did. We're so often rushing, like we just feel like we've got to push all the time. But stopping and honoring, I just did 3 really high quality sun salutations. And then we'll move into a series of 3 different standing poses, building on that idea of taking up our space and welcoming in the multiplicity of things that may show up. So I'm going to bring my hands onto my waist, step my left foot back about 4 to 4.5 feet. And it's almost like I'm coming into warrior 1 because I'm going to bend my right knee over ankle. But then instead of squaring my hips and shoulders, I'm going to come into what I call warrior 1.5, where I pivot my torso open to the front left corner of my mat, giving myself a little bit more compassionate space to work with. And then I lift the waist out of the pelvis, lengthen through the sides of the ribs, and then from that length, boom, the blooming of the arms overhead. So I'm somewhere halfway between that warrior 1 that would face the front of the mat and the warrior 2 that would face the side. And I'm in this space of allowing the body to have a little bit more forgiveness, a little bit more freedom. There's still effort here, but I'm really being gracious with the body here. Give it one more full breath. And then start to straighten that right leg, turn to face the long edge of your mat. And it's almost as if we're coming into Trikonasana, but we're not quite gonna go all the way. So take the arms wide, palms facing forward. Take your pelvis, dip it to the left. Notice how long the right side ribs are. Now take your right fingertips, reach as far as you possibly can. The moment you can't reach anymore, that's your pose. That's where we're staying. And you breathe for 4. Notice how active your legs have to become to support this broad, expansive, really multitudinous pose. One more big breath. Now take a visual picture. Notice you are essentially in half moon with both of your feet on the floor. Now we're going to do half moon for real. Bring the right fingertips down. I'm going to slide my right foot back just a little bit and then launch myself up into Ardha Chandrasana and find that same shape, but now just with that right foot and right fingertips as my anchor. And just holding space for everything that's here, letting the wisdom of the body keep me here by making all these micro adjustments with balance. And staying committed to the present moment awareness of my breath. And then I'm going to take a flow through a vinyasa. So I look down, left hand comes down, step myself back. I'm going to keep my down dog broad like I have this whole practice. Shift it forward and down. Come into that beautiful, spacious, upward facing dog. And that downward facing dog where I'm going to chill out for 5 breaths. Knowing that my practice isn't really asking anything of me other than I show up with integrity, which means that sometimes I show up with anger. Sometimes I show up with frustration. Sometimes I show up confused in a total don't know space. And the practice says, you know what? You're welcome here, as you are. Let's work with that, because you are large and you contain multitudes. Let's do that 3-pose sequence on the second side. So look forward. I'm going to move my left thumb to my right thumb, step my left foot forward, and start to build that warrior 1.5. So spin my right heel down, and then circle, sweep my arms out and up. And instead of really getting squared to the front of the mat, I'm going to say, no, I'm going to keep it nice and gracious. Open up to that front right corner. Lift the sides of the waist out of the pelvis. Ribs lifting up and long, and then boom. Arms elongating out of that. Just noticing when I give myself permission to be more spacious, it may not make it easier to hold, but it does just feel more free. It feels more true. Even if it's not easier, it's more honest. And then open up, straighten that left leg, turn to face the long edge of your mat, take your arms wide, palms face forward. Now let the pelvis dip to the right. Notice how long the left side body is. Keep it long, and then reach over to your left as far as you can. And the further you reach to the left, the more you anchor in the legs. And then notice if you've forgotten this back right arm, reach it to the right. That's it, 2. You are as big, as broad, as spacious. You can hold it. You are a safe container for your own human experience. And then take this into half moon. Look down, left fingertips down. You might need to slide the left foot back, launch forward and up. Find your flight. Establishing safety and security and whatever your human experience looks like right now. And then looking down, right hand down, and take it through a flow. Keep it broad, keep it wide. Give yourself space. Five breaths, down dog.
There's no right way to be here. There's no right way to be thinking right now. One more breath, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and we're going to transition into some back bending work. So we'll shift forward into a plank, and we're going to find our way all the way down to the mat as we set up for locust pose. And we're going to echo the work that we did in our warm-up. So lengthen the legs to the back of the mat, but keep them in a V. Bring your arms alongside you, and then as you inhale, lift your head, your neck, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, and your legs. And breathe for 5, for 4. This was just like our opening 3 half salutations. We're going to do 3 of these locusts with the different arm variations. One more breath here. Coming down and resting. And preparing for that second round of the locust pose, bring your forehead to the mat. Keep the legs a little bit wide, just a gentler approach to the low back. Take the arms wide, like that wingspan or airplane arms, and then float everything up. And notice the tendency of the arms to float back. Keep them right in line with the shoulders. This is about integrity, not height. Just finding where you can be and breathing there. 2. And then coming out and giving yourself a break for a couple breaths. I'm just keeping my head lifted so you can still hear me clearly. You rest. And then knowing that maybe the back's tired, you could repeat the first of those 2 arm options, or for the third, bring the arms forward, biceps by the ears. And as you inhale again, lift everything up, balancing on the belly, breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2. And coming down, placing the palms underneath you and flipping onto your spine for a brief rest before we do one more back bend. And for this final back bend, I'm going to give you 2 options. I love giving you back your agency, either bridge pose or wheel pose. So either way, knees bent, feet parallel, about hip distance apart, or maybe, theme of the day, take the feet a little bit wider. Why not? No harm done. For bridge, arms alongside you. For wheel, bring those palms alongside the ears. Everybody give yourself a full inhalation, and then as you exhale, pressing up either to your wheel or your bridge pose. If you're in your wheel like I am, shins are drawing back, heart is pulling forward, elbows are strong. If you're in your bridge pose, knees are drawing forward so the pelvis naturally lifts. Maybe you interlace the arms underneath you, opening the chest. One more full breath. And then with control, gently releasing yourself down, giving yourself just a moment to rest. And then either rolling to your favorite side or rocking and rolling to sit up as we take the legs wide and we again continue to embrace that idea of being a little bit more spacious, containing multitudes, being our own safe container. Upavishta Konasana, legs nice and wide, feeling the femur bones anchor down, take the arms wide. Right hand either on right leg or behind and sweep the left arm over. Keep that left arm quite active as you really reach over to the right. And you may notice as I do, the left side of the pelvis gets a little bit lighter. Totally fine. Just means you're initiating this lateral bend from the pelvis, which is exactly what we want. Give yourself one more breath here. And then we'll take a little nuanced twist here. So turn the head to look to the right leg. Let the left shoulder dip forward and just pivot the torso towards the right leg, feeling the sensation slide to the bottom left quadrant of the spine. Keep reaching the left fingertips forward, 2. And then open back up to the lateral bend and pick yourself up, and then give yourself a pause. So I often notice, oh, there's some tingling here, there's some sensation, and just sitting with that. And then second side, left hand either on the leg or behind, circle sweep right arm up, folding over to the left, really keeping that right arm active as you're reaching to the left. I know that for me, when I'm feeling like I want to hibernate, I want to shut down, I'm in a total space of emotional overwhelm, turn your head to face your left leg, pivot the torso to the left leg, feeling that sensation slide into the bottom right quadrant of the spine, 2 breaths. It can often feel really luxurious and unnecessary to do my practice, like it just feels pointless. But those words from Walt Whitman, turning back to the lateral bend, lifting up, pausing and noticing, have been such a balm for me, a sort of anchor, a reminder that sometimes part of this human experience is sitting with completely contradictory things, knowing they aren't always fixable. Let's circle sweep the arms out and up, folding forward for about 30 seconds or 5 breaths. And just that reminder that I am large. I do contain multitudes. There's nothing wrong with me that I'm feeling things that are contradictory, that I can't explain things, that I'm overwhelmed and yet also wanting to find hope, that I'm feeling angry and full of rage and furious and yet also still have moments of delight and gratitude. And sometimes those things exist like in the same moment. Let's walk the hands up and in. Beautifully done. Inversion. When I'm caught up here, and this feels like it contains multitudes, headstand is my friend. So I'm going to do a headstand practice for about a minute. If that is not a safe and secure practice for you, you could place a block underneath your sacrum, legs up to the ceiling and waterfall, or you could do shoulder stand, or you could simply lie on your back and give yourself a break there. If you're coming along with me for Shirshasana headstand, I'm going to come to the center of my mat and set myself up for my Shirshasana base by interlacing my fingers, opening the palms, creating that nest for my head, tucking my chin, tucking my toes, walking my feet in, and then slowly lifting myself up. And just this practice of changing my perspective, getting upside down, of being in a shape that demands the fullness of my focus and concentration. It challenges me to stay calm in the midst of something that's difficult. That brings me right into this moment with this body, this heart, this head. Three more breaths.
And remembering that the transition out is also part of the pose. And if you were in headstands like I was coming into child's pose, if you were in waterfall or shoulder stand coming into just resting on the back and eventually finding fish pose. From headstand like I was in, I'm going to take Sasangasana, the rabbit pose, by gently cupping the back of my heels, tucking my chin to bring the crown of my head to the mat, lifting my hips away from my heels, and stretching the back of my neck. Last breath. Coming down, giving myself a moment, and then coming onto my back. This final sequence of finding happy baby pose. Taking the knot out of my spine in this shirt. Ouchie, ouch. And then from that happy baby pose, letting the inner thighs come together and the knees fall to the right as you look over the left arm. And then just a gentle passing through center as the knees move through center and then fall to the left, looking over the right arm. And then finding your way to Shavasana for final relaxation, legs and arms extended. A reminder that we come into this practice, practicing just as much with our anger as we do our joy. Just as much with our confusion as with our clarity. Just as much with our despair as with our hope. Just as much with our tenderness as with our strength. That you contain multitudes, and your multitudes are welcome here. And then allowing the next couple breaths become a bit more vibrant and energetic. Subtle movement, entering the fingers and toes. And in your own way, in your own time, making your way back up to a comfortable seat. Bringing the palms of the hands together as we close this practice with a brief and yet powerful peace chant. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Jai Shri Sakuru Maharaj Ki.